Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. Our investigation continues in our attempts to prove Professor Hairbrain's innocence, and what do you know, we stumbled into Van Zieks' newest apprentice. Just at the experimentation stage, of course, and Susato, God bless her soul, said what we were all thinking. Kazuma, is that you? Because if it is, what the hell, man? Sholmes lied to us, declaring him dead when he wasn't back on the SS Burya. And two, he's an amnesiac now. Somehow he made his way to England. And in Van Zieks' care, of course, our paths were going to cross. A couple of months ago, apparently, he turned up with Lord Strongheart assigning him to Van Zieks. So, I don't know what the heck is going on there. I mean, it's all but confirmed that's Kazuma, right? Like, surely, there's no doubt anymore. This cannot be a red herring. This would be the biggest blue ball ever if it was. So, we're going with the assumption that it is our dearly departed mentor that's come back, the return of the great departed soul, I suppose. That's why the chapter's called as such. But, still, more pressing matters. We need to protect Professor Hairbrain. He's currently on the verge of going to prison for the rest of his life, so that's important. We prove his innocence, even if he does not cooperate with us from time to time. Alright, well, I think we've gotten everything we need to from him, including the engineer/magician Enoch Drebber's business card with oil stains on it. Let's move along. I don't think there's anything else here that we can do or say, so I guess we're going back to the experimentation stage. Apparently there's still something there that we haven't completed as of yet. I don't know if I'm still missing evidence or I already have it in my hand and I just haven't quite put my finger on what I need to do. Forensics laboratory. Susato's saying we need to spend a little more time investigating here. The forensic scientist lady, Professor Scythe. I still don't know how to pronounce it. She may be back, so let's pay it a visit. See what she has to say. Nope, she's out here. That's fine. We've got plenty of other places to go, I think. Right? I guess we're going back to the experimentation stage. I need to find out what we need to do. Classic Ace Attorney. When you don't know what you need to do to progress, you need to find that obscure piece of evidence and present it somehow. Well, there we go. Looks like we found out already. About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble, I'll read it for you. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? How come? There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is a very high-quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. You mean Toby, of course. Yes, that's what I wanted to smell it all along. Toby, that's why I came here. Of course. I should have put two and two together. Toby, Missile's great-great-grandfather, I guess. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he? Professor Hairbrain informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. Well, Toby's going to work. That tail, it be wagging. He'll be a good fan for the summer. I think he's picked up a scent. So you mean, if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right. That's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. What? Wait, when did you... Once a pickpocket. If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I could get promoted to lieutenant. I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Yeah, I would work on your literacy, though. Oh yes, Gina, I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. At least he knows how to read. That gives him an advantage, right, to keep him his job? Right then, Odo, leave it to me. Sorry. We're gonna go get going after that dodgy engineer's cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. I'm not a policeman, okay? I ain't an inspector. I'm the police's enemy at this point. I'm the defense attorney. Oh, right. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson. Again. Ready, Toby? Got those oil set, have ya? Come on then, boy. See you later. Adios. I do hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop. Well, hopefully it's not dangerous. She'll be okay, right? Yeah, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Imagine, though. Okay, are we done here now? That was everything? Yes. Seems to be. What else do I need to go to? Back to the forensics laboratory. So you said we need to spend a little more time investigating. Maybe there's something I didn't examine yet. Well, I didn't seem to have investigated the tools there, which is quite prominent. A table and a set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it all looks quite innocent. So why is it that when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disturbing? It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. Are you going to copy that book too into your blue one? How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air? You'd either have to have a cast-iron constitution, or a really terrible sense of smell. Thank God Toby's not one of the forensics scientists working here. Okay, well, is that everything examined, Susato? Are you happy now? May we proceed onward with the plot? I guess, we'll find out as soon as I get to the move screen. Nope, she's still waiting. Or maybe she just means to come back when Dr. Sith is here. I'm just going to commit to Scythe from now on, just because it seems oddly fitting, given where we are and the nature of her work. Well, Susato, please explain, what do we need to do next? Do you know, I honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain. And certainly, not so soon. It's funny. For the past 6 months, I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of Judicature back in Japan. Please, Mr. Naruhodo. I may have been dressed as a man, but it was a very reserved performance. Oh, Susato, I mean, damn, you looked good, I have to say. So what your father said in his letter about a Ryotaro takedown is reserved? Well, anyway, I'm back here in this great capital now, and ready to assist you again, in any way I can. Thank you, Mr. Susato. It's my pleasure, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, well that doesn't explain what we need to do. So thank you, all the same. Alright, let's go step by step, shall we? Of course, it's this tiny book. I swear I searched the entirety of this disc, and of course, I missed it somehow. Look at this big, thick book here that I should have seen the first time I came to visit. Oh, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Wow, okay. The books are just right there on the disc, right where she does her work. Oh. What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but... well, one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. 500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And what, are these disposable scalpels? I didn't realize you had to throw them away. I suppose back then here, in this time period, they didn't know proper hygiene standards. And scalpel blades can be sharpened too. It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using them all for? Well, there you go. What are you doing? Hi. Sorry, we, had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so... damn, if only I found that book the first 3 times I came to visit, I might have avoided your presence. So, you thought you'd snoop around? That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want? Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was, you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmund's body, I mean. So we came to ask you about your findings, on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately. Okay. Deal. First, let me present my armband, so you know who I am. Very important. Dr. Side, would you be good enough to take a look at this? Oh, you think I'm good enough, do you? No, I didn't mean... Oh, shit, I mean, you're great. Fantastic, even. So I'm not good enough? In that case, why would you show me anything? Ugh, clearly you're too good for me to show you anything again. Ever. Fine, okay, you know what? Don't look at my arm. Let's just talk about your findings, please. So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene. The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asman, who appeared moments later partway up the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. Really? The same person? Are you sure? Not twins? Not clones? The same person? But that can't be right! If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other and were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? Very true, but sadly in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. How are you so sure about that, Doctor? The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Fingerprints. They've not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system, but one day they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course. Oh my, but that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Right, of course, that's the other team's job, the police. Huh? Meanwhile, I gotta do all three things. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Son of a bitch. And that's it. That was all that we needed to hear. Holy hi.
Mama, what is this?
Where did she spring from? Jesus. Were you under the desk? Were you hiding behind that skeleton? And did she just call the doctor Mama? I mean, I can imagine some people calling this Dr. Mama. This is a lawyer, dear. He tried to show me his armband, but I wasn't interested. Apparently I'm not good enough.
Oh.
Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Mama?
Yes.
Can I cut this one up?
What? No, I'm not worth 500 scalpels a month. Okay, let's take it easy. Oh shit, it's a cleaver as well.
I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like.
Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see.
Oh, what if I make it unalive? Oh, boring.
Well, yeah, the pleasure's all mine. I think I just had a near-death experience. Just how close were we?
Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse.
Don't say that. She might get mixed up and think I'm worthy of being dissected. Then let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. At least I didn't want to cut you up, Susato. I suppose you'd Susato take them all down. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yeah, we can tell him how much of a big fat liar he is. Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. Yeah, I know, it sounds far-fetched, but, you know, shit, rent money's due, okay? we gotta do what we can. Side hustle, or no side hustle.
Yes, Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture.
Unusual's, putting it mildly. Hi, Dr. Scythe. So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor?
Keeping a close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office.
Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible! Those pesky Easterners.
Yes, you.
She doesn't mince her words, Miss Susato. Let's steer clear.
I think perhaps it's time we left.
Jeez, everyone hates us, huh? Just because we're Nipponese. You know what? Fine. It's fine. We'll win the culture war 100 years from now. You guys will all be watching anime. We've returned. The 23rd October, Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks.
Here we are again, at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't got used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery, of course.
Susato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? It just so happens that, you know, I'm here, but... Nonetheless, I'm sure she's looking for something she can consume. Eek! What's the matter?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before.
Oh, that thing?
It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail. What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself. Just kick it in the balls. You'll see. Oh, hi. Oh no, she's talking. Damn it.
Is a friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh, yes, hello again. It's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I must say I am quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
But yes, the mystery is solved already.
Wow. Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. I suppose when he has forced to stand still and think about what he's done, his mind gets to work. When he's not dancing and deducing, things are okay. It's when he starts spinning around and clicking his fingers, that's when shit goes wrong.
So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Hello? Do not disturb, huh?
Yeah, I can see he's hard at work. Sorry, Mrs. Susato, I know this is not the reunion you were looking for. Poor Susato-san, she looks very perplexed. Well, let's see the professor. I'm quite curious, since he's been returned. Yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them. You just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? Yeah, let's spook her some more, Ryunosuke. Jeez, we're really losing that sweet status.
The sign says it's the Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside.
I know, can you believe that? Pay more money. As if we haven't been scared enough already, right? We just came out of the freaking fit laboratory, and I almost got killed.
It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo.
I guess we're not allowed to peek behind the veil just yet. That old policeman isn't here now, obviously. I still can't believe he just happened to be on the jury, though. It's almost like this game is rigged. Maybe they really have bought off the jury.
I understood that London has a population of 6 million people, and yet... You do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you?
I know, it's like they're saving assets or something. Sheesh. Who designed this city? God. I need to work on a variety of people. What's going on here? Susato, look!
Oh, what a horrifying scene! A murderer caught in the grisly act!
I know. And in case you were wondering, it's the one with the big knife that's supposed to be the killer.
I don't think anybody would be in any doubt about that, surely.
You never know, maybe it's self-defense. And did you know that according to the description, the bathtub at the back has no particular significance? It's just added detail.
What? Really? The programmers didn't need to put that in? Are you serious? I would have thought it was meant to show that the killer also worked in a bathhouse peddling criminal wares.
We have a new theory. Fortunately, I think it's beyond the realm of possibility. You're thinking too outside the box, Miss Susato. Alright, let's go this way. Sholmes is there. I suppose we should examine him. You should, Susato, take down the waxwork.
This one's posture reveals his weakness.
Sorry?
The killer's stance leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I could see him off. With a Susato takedown, then a Susato squash, and finally a Susato smash.
Don't practice on me! I'm not assuming that stance. Right.
And if that doesn't render the culprit unconscious, a Susato slam should finish him.
A Susato slam?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's rather hard to explain. Leave yourself open slightly and I'll demonstrate.
No need! Absolutely not! Although it might get Sholmes to break character. That'd be interesting. Right. Here he is, the man of the hour.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I am longing to say hello again. But where is he?
Oh my god, it's moving! I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh? What? What do you...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! The world-famous great detective in waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. You're lucky she didn't take you down just then for springing a surprise attack on her. Oh, Susato-san! Susato-san! Oh my god. She's got a Metal Gear Solid game over. Why do you look like the one who fainted? My most humble apologies.
I thought I'd died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment. Via London.
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality, and I don't want to get what we pay for.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Especially now that you've found the freaking waxwork.
Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved?
We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today for that matter. There we go. There it is. The classic rumble of your stomach. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well. Do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? The what?
Oh yes, it's a most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing! What did you give up exactly? What did you negotiate? Please tell me you didn't overpay. Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
Hey! But I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
Well, when you put it like that. A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tuspel's at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street, after all. Poor Iris. Poor Gregson, poor Iris. My sympathy is with a lot of Londoners today. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork? Love to see it. Wonder if it's involved with the case I'm working on, you know? Especially now that it's no longer needed and it's been returned. Let's start with Enoch Drebber. Let's save the best for last, shall we? We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh?
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber.
Okay, we have his... Oh no, I was going to say we have his business card, but no, we turned that over to Inspector Lestrade, so of course Susato has to refer to her blue book again.
He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. We have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least, I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Drebber's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I shall gladly give you my thoughts on it. Okay, well, just so happens I've got a photograph of the person of interest in question. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print?
It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber, the face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden. You'd make for a good corpse tea.
Well, explain yourself, please. Really? You're not going to? Okay, fine. Let's hit you with another hard topic, shall we? Kazuma's death. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? This is a very vague question, so I want to know how many times you lied to us. My dear Mr. Naruhodo, stay that piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship. Your words were very clear.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Of course, now we realize that Sholmes utterly sucks at deduction sometimes. So maybe he was just wrong about this too.
You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body.
Kazuma-sama. Who's that man again? Ah, indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today. The victim, Kazuma Asogi. You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. The vibes I was getting from him. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes. Please just put the rumors to rest, why don't you? That he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. That's your excuse? But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo? No, wipe that grin off your face. I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. Why? Why are you holding out on me? I live in your house. Please, just cooperate with me for one moment. I help you so much with your dance and deduction, you could have been sued up the wazoo by all these people you mistakenly deducted wrong deductions from. Okay? I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me? Whoa, you're on thin ice, buddy. Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains. Oh, yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? Oh, God, yeah, jeez. What a great payment this is going to be. I bet it has nothing to do with the case whatsoever. Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings. That's a special, one-time only price, you understand. I already pay you rent money, man. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone?
The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? I can't tell. Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you. That's the point.
Very well. Couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Well, as long as it comes out of Susato's wallet. I'm paying this shit. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. I can't wait for it to look like Enoch Drebber. Or imagine if it's like Professor Hairbrain or something. No. It's Odie Asmund, clearly.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit.
Here it goes. It's Kazuma! Through those heavy curtains at last. Ta-da! Oh, God, I have to go physically myself. Why did we fade to black then? 5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Shome slipped the money into his own pocket, does it? We should probably tell Madame Tussbells that someone's scalping her.
No. We could ask Genius to retrieve it for us, using her special skills.
Yeah, but then we'll have to pay her for the retrieval. Yeah, you know, it's just... money makes the world go round, huh? Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands, or chip-loving inspectors. Or people that are constantly racist against me.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think.
I suppose. I gotta cut him some slack. Considering who his apprentice is. 23rd October. Madame Tussbell's special exhibit. Oh, Jesus. Well, there's the professor.
Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Miss Susato, I say we turn on our heels and go straight home. Buy a really big confectionery.
We certainly can't do that. We paid 5 shillings already.
Oh, now that money's been spent, we've found all the courage in the world. True. He's got the monocle. Similar to Mr. Enoch Drebber. Actually, now that I'm looking a little more closely, we've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Number 139. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we will get what we paid for.
Is that fear or frustration? That's making Susato-san's voice tremble. Okay, well, let's once again save the best for last. Let's take a look at number 139 here.
This must be the killer. The fiend known as the Professor.
Yeah, I think so. According to what Madame Tussbell said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know. Looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Okay, we can zoom in. Okay, it wasn't drawn by an AI. That's good. The fingers hold up. Let's look at your neck stump.
So this is the condemned man?
Yes, the so-called professor. Right, so this is the professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
It's Ichabod Crane. Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mr. Susato? I'm so glad you're here with me, though, by my side. Imagine if I had to examine this exhibit yesterday. Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it.
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum.
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. And quite a big piece, too. Huh. I wonder, is it from the Crystal Tower?
It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing, I'd say.
Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength.
But why?
Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example.
Well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken, too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. The Crystal Tower, the Great Exhibition.
But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxworks jacket?
Makes you think, doesn't it? A piece of broken glass has been entered into the court record. A small fragment of very unusual and thick glass was found in the folds of clothing of the Professor Waxwork. Would appear to be from the Crystal Tower. Earlier in court, we established the kinesis experiment was a trick, and now we discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? Was the Professor Odiasman? Could be. Let's take a look at this glass. Anything of note? We can look at the thickness of it. This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to compare to a human, only Mr. Sholmes has such thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know.
Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure.
Okay, cool. No update to our evidence, but nice to have a little bit more confirmation. Anything else to look at? Don't think so. Unless I missed something again. The stump was all we can look at. Alright, let's head back. Just gonna avoid the elephant in the room here. Nothing, 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 nothing. Okay. Let's do it.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
Seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hands, too. Look.
What was he planning on doing? Exhuming the professor's body? Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Turn around. Face me. Well, let's start with, well, that's familiar. Start with the camera.
What's this here? Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. He was the original paranormal investigator.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think.
The camera's been entered into the court record. It's a real camera, is it? The camera from around the neck of a waxwork in the Madame Tussauds special exhibit. Not made of, well, wax.
By looking at the photograph plate inside the camera, you can see what picture was taken.
What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens, obviously. God, have you ever read my blue book before, Mr. Naruhodo? If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look.
You should see yourself, Miss Susato. Your eyes are shining. I know it says Susato-san, but I couldn't help myself. You really do like machinery, don't you? Okay. Let's head back. Not ready to look at his face just yet. I want to look at the camera. There's the lens itself. Woohoo! Oh, there's a blood stain on it.
What a wonderful machine.
You really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh yes! Anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible.
Almost irresistible, surely.
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying. You might grow up to be a serial killer that targets heroes.
Yes, father tells the time by rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch.
Poor Professor Mikatoba. See? I told you, my sympathy's all over the show today. The bloodstain?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows, just here. There seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. Looks like blood, actually.
Oh my.
I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. Details of the camera have been updated. When the lens is extended, dark staining is visible on the bellows. Okay. Good to know. Anything else? Let's examine the back for that photographic plate. Oh look, the cover came open.
Yes, now, there should be a glass plate inside. You have to change the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see.
Wow. Is something wrong?
But There is no plate, it's been removed.
What a pity. I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at the time, just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we'd never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway.
Oh. Yes, you're quite right, of course.
Poor Susato-san, she looks devastated. Unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation. I don't think there's anything else to look at. We got what we needed with the blood stain on the bellows. Curious. Okay. Back to Drebber. I mean, this waxwork man.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
There's the lantern he's holding. It's quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Or is it a lantern? It's not unlike a Japanese chochin paper lantern, actually, is it?
Lamp, lantern, chochin. The point is it casts very little light. To be walking alone in a graveyard at night with only this. Well, I certainly couldn't do it.
Not sure I could visit a graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. Okay, that's a bit much, Naruhodo. I'm sure you could. You're a brave boy, especially during the day.
What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with the shovel in the graveyard in the middle of the night?
Only one thing. Digging. Mr. Susato.
Yes?
That's a spade, isn't it? Oh god.
No, it's a shovel.
No. Shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel.
No. Although, I haven't considered trowels.
We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. I shouldn't have come back to England. I knew it. I knew you'd just devolve this into a spade versus shovel argument. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement.
So we're going to bury the hatchet? You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. What was he doing? Anything else? Guess we can only look at the face from this angle. Goodness me. I can't see his face very well, can you? Probably because I'm squatting down looking up at his chin. Perhaps if I just stood up straight.
Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. I won't even ask for a ransom. Well, what do we got?
Oh, what on earth? How can...
I don't believe it. A black monocle.
Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is...
Yes. It's Enoch Drebber.
The color of his hair is different, but...
It's unmistakably him. Is this a waxwork or is this taxidermy? Indeed it is. Okay, can I have my refund? Mr. Sholmes! This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? You can tell us. And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved with my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head tout de suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. Literally. A very hungry Irish still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Oh!
Do you know, though, something about this room is strange.
Strange? What do you mean?
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Miss Susato. Do go on.
And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable.
But looks like we've got another return of the great departed soul. In this case, it's the Professor.
But this one... This surely couldn't ever really have happened, could it?
Maybe he faked his death. Someone helped him. And this was Drebber coming to collect him, so to speak, to help him escape his fate. I think it's time I educated you a little. Finally, thank you. About the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Alright, well, I'm buckled up. I'm ready to go. Let's converse, man. The resurrecting convict. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one being either a member of the aristocracy, or royalty. Sorry, I'm hungry, and I've been at waxwork. I haven't opened my mouth all day. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Huh. A hound, huh? A hound of the Baskervilles, perchance?
Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful.
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public ever were permitted. Closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity... As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh.
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
What?
Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to those chilling events.
There was a witness?
But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat.
Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen?
How? Was this part of his magic trick? The young witness. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Oh, I see. That's a good excuse. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every page on the Capitol. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yeah, what was he up to? Do you know? Were you there? Following the execution. The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumours abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yeah, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumours abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlour tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established, in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
No, but that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
And maybe that's what sunk his reputation and why he turned to a life of crime? That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society, and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, And if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock... Oh, no way. Bullshit. Something happened. It's... the professor. He dyed his hair. He took on Drebber's identity. It's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Huh. Interesting. What if it's Van Zieks' brother? All along. Very curious. Who's screaming? Oh! What the bleeding Naruhodo? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be, so... So? Gina? Not so loud at the museum. Madame Taspels will have you taken as a... will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... So? Alright, Gina, we understand, but please put down the gun. Goodness me, what's got her knickers in a twist? What are you staring at me like that for? Sorry, I got scared. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So? What brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy cove's workshop. What? You found Drebber's workshop? Yep. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in the drag. So come on. They're in drag? Oh, sorry, what? Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then. See you there. Okay. Guess we're done here. Sholmes, are you alright? You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there. Oh my god. Are you a sub? Madame Taspels, you're dumb? You know what? I don't want to know. But yeah, someone is feeling sorry for himself. Okay, you can't pose here. Go back to your exhibit. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words heartened me, I must say. But if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense, and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that! I'll pay for everything! Really? Well, then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then. I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mr. Susato. Right, let's go. Alright. Let's go. The workshop. 23rd October. Enoch Drebber's workshop. What that looks like? Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed it would appear so, though only a prototype naturally. Oh, so you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time. You've really worked miracles. Well, let's thank Toby, actually. He did all the groundwork. It's Toby who's the miracle worker. You okay, Gregson? Jesus. Are you just trying not to look at the crime scene or something? Oh, I thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. It's one knitted brow. Looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to, say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're happy to sleep around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zieks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Sholmes... Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than An inconspicuous waxwork model. Right, well you just stand over there out of the way then. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. Plenty of goodies, I bet.